to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And it's me, it's Dante, and not quite sure what number we're on, but it doesn't matter. Numbers are just a thing around this place because at the end of the day, we all here podcasting, having a good time talking jiu-jitsu and talking with people. And this week on the podcast, I would like to welcome a guest that, like many, I met on the interwebs, because that's the world we're in. We meet everybody on interwebs. Now, once upon a time ago, we were told not to talk to strangers on interwebs because, you know, they could do harmful things to us. And now I talk to lots of strangers off the interwebs and have them on my podcast. So this week on the podcast, I would like to welcome a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner all the way out there in California, which is where a lot of my other guests come from too. Well, I'm meeting strangers on the internet from California, so this is just kind of a repeat of all 300 some odd episodes. But anyhow, I would like to welcome to the podcast Ms. Naomi Davoudian. Hello, Naomi. What's up, and welcome to the show. How you feeling today?
What's up, Dante? Thanks for having me. I'm feeling pretty good. It's only my second podcast, so I'm happy to be here. I feel, a little nervous, but at the end of the day, it's just us chilling, and it's not that big of a deal, really.
We're just chatting here. No nerves to be had.
Sweet.
All right. So, kind of jumping right into it, as we were talking beforehand and really got a good feel for each other. But then I was like, well, I didn't really find out about your jiu-jitsu journey. Like, what started your journey? Have you done any martial arts before this, or is this your first martial art? What got you on the mats?
When I was 17, I did some kickboxing. At the time, I was working out at a local gym. I had been doing weight training since I was like 12 or 13. I really enjoyed competitive soccer as a kid, basketball. I was an athlete. It's what I like to do. When I was 17, I had a trainer who was maybe in her early 20s, and she was like, I want to go do this kickboxing class, but it's at this other gym. It was like in a Quonset hut it was called Martial Athletics. And she said, will you come with me? I said, yeah, let's go. And we went, and I had a really fun time. And she wound up moving back to like Rhode Island or whatever. And I kept doing kickboxing for like 4 or 5 years. And I'd also weight train with the guy. It was really fun. And at the time he was like, hey, there's jiu-jitsu happening over here some days. And I was like, okay, like, what's that? And then like he told me what it was, and we tried some stuff, and I was like, yeah, no, that's like not for me right now. Like, I can't really learn dance moves. I'm not doing that. I like the flow of the punch, punch, bang, bang. And it was really cathartic for me at the time. Jiu-jitsu just seemed like a chore. I was like, yeah, there's no way. And there was like all these dudes. It just wasn't for me. Flash forward, like basically a long time, whatever. I'm like 30, and I'm like, maybe I'll get back into kickboxing. But I gained weight. I've had 2 small kids. Tried that, and I was like, I'm dying. And that was in 2022 in the spring, and I was dying, like I said. And my husband had started doing jiu-jitsu and was really liking it in sometime in 2022. But I had 2 small kids. Anyway, by the time like October of 2023 came around, I had lost weight. I was like, okay, I'm feeling better. My husband had been doing jiu-jitsu for like, I don't know, 10 months at the time. And he's like, come try a class. He had asked me how many times, maybe like for months. I said, okay, let's go. Let's go do this class. And it was like a no-gi class, and yeah, the gym was like 90 minutes away from where we live. Luckily, my parents live up north. We'd stay with them, leave the 2 small kids, go do jiu-jitsu. I go take the first class, and I was hooked. I was like, well, there's something about this that like, I know I need to keep coming back and like wrestling around. I had no idea what the fuck the technique was, what we were doing. Some dude like at the end of the technique was like, all right, come over here and let me show you a move. And then he like flops down on the mat, fucking does one of these. He's wearing like little shorts, and he's like, let me show you an arm bar. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then And then he fucking shows me an armbar, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of like, it's kind of kinky, really, but like, okay. And then like I just continue to like have my nerves kind of rattled of like, what are we doing rolling around? But I knew I had to keep going. So that's how it started, and it's been, yeah, a little over 2 years now. And yeah, it was my husband who basically was having like a midlife crisis. We like sold our cannabis farm in 2021. We moved. He needed a hobby. He was like, I'm going to go try jujitsu. And he had been like listening to a lot of Jocko podcasts. And then eventually I did listen to the Henner Gracie one with Jocko. And I was like, you know what? And I ordered a gi. I didn't tell my husband. I was like, I ordered the gi. After it came, I was like, look, I got a gi and I'm going to try, you know? And that was an influential podcast for me to be like, okay, I'll go try the class. And now here we are.
Here we are. So good, good. It's good that when you picked it up, it wasn't something that after that first class was like, nah, never again. Like you understood, like I have to keep coming back to this. If I want to gain, I need to come back. I've run into people who have said that people who friends of a friend, hey, I'm working out a lot and I want to just add jujitsu to my workout. I want to do it maybe once a month, just a supplement. I was like, I don't know if that like I don't think that's how that's going to work. So for you to understand, like, hey, I have to keep coming back for this, and I guess with having that kickboxing experience, so kind of the routine ideal was something that carries over too. So good, good. I'm glad to
Yeah, in general, a
hear
lot of
that.
sports, it's like, I was never like the best on my team, but I knew through my own experiences, like for instance, when I was 13, I went on Google and found an abroad camp in France where I could go learn soccer and learn French. And I told my mom, I want to go do this. My great uncle had left us a trust fund for me. I said, let's tap into some of that cash Mo left and send me to France because I live in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Um, so to get high end training, you have to make it happen. And the effort you put in does matter. So it just was like the background, like I knew that. Like my husband didn't grow up doing any sports. So for him, this means a lot. This is his first time having camaraderie with the sport team, having the seeing your growth in a physical way. I think it's really important for people if they've never weightlifted or done a sport, you just don't know what that journey looks like, And it's somewhat the same if you do anything, it's going to suck at first, you're going to have growth and you're either going to keep doing it or you're not.
Yeah. I feel like that's more commonplace now. I still run into people who, and more so older folks. I'm 48. I'll be 48 soon, very soon, probably like in a couple of days. I don't know.
Let's
We know when this
go.
is coming
Happy
out,
birthday
but
almost.
well, thank you. But like folks that I've gone to school with, graduated with, that or in my graduating class, I guess roughly same age. It seems like it's tough for them to kind of accept that, hey, you start something, you're going to suck at it. I think a lot
Mhm.
of folks have got into this old model of they've just been doing the same thing all their lives and they've been kind of complacent, and they're just what it is. So when you start something new, it's like, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm not going to keep doing it then. I'm used to being good at something. So being able to come into something new, like especially in your husband's case, you said this is his first time, doing a martial art, and to pick jujitsu and then come in and you're sticking with it, that speaks volumes about, character and just, that push. So good to hear.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a really interesting influence in my life for sure. And it came at a really important time as well. It felt like my husband and I were having a really hard time in our marriage, just like so hard. And yeah, I started training in October and things just got so hard. But to have that connection really helped maintain that year that was just so rough. Like 2024 was hard, was just so hard, but jujitsu kept us connected in a way that really helped our relationship. It can also
Good.
go like the other way, where there are times when it was like, fuck off, I do not want to train with you. Ew. Like literally, ew. And I mean that with all the love and kindness in my heart. And he probably, he'll say it nicer because that's just how he is. But it's like that with a lot of couples. It can make a lot of tension. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is, like, especially for the women. We go and we roll with men and it's not that big of a deal. And then we go roll with our husbands and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. And like, and you turn into a fucking wreck. So it's been, but because we lived so rural and we are so isolated, the training partners are slim that you just kind of got to do what you got to do,
Sure.
And he's my number one training partner. He's my coach too right now. So that's
Good.
just what we got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you hear couples say we took up salsa or ballroom dancing together, and it brought us closer. And you're like, hey, we took up jujitsu. Well, we fight each other, and it brought us closer together. Which I think there's something to that. Getting out that the physical angst, I guess, and I think a lot of people don't really get that. People don't see that. You're walking around not quite clicking, button heads. And it's like, it maybe not together, but sometimes someone's like, hey, maybe I need to go to a kickboxing class or, go do CrossFit or something. And it's like, let's go do jujitsu together. And, it works out. So good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's been good. And now our kids are old enough, like they've started picking it up and seeing, how that's going to look down the line is exciting too, because one is going to be 5 this month and then other one will be 7 soon. So they're getting at that age where I'm like, oh, this is going to be really cool to like
Cool.
have kids who do jujitsu.
It's a family event for all y'all. So that's really cool.
It
Good.
is. Yeah. Yeah. It's been unconventional as fuck. That can be the title of your fucking episode.
I will keep that as a
Unconventional
note.
white belt. Like,
I think all white belts are unconventional to be fair. So, um, and I know it's still early on for you, but have you had any moments where you've felt a slight burnout? You felt like you wanted to quit or take a breather?
basically the whole time on and off. Because it's been hard. When we started, like I said, we live 60 to 90 minutes to the closest gym. And I had small kids, schlepping them up, parking them with my parents, trying to get in one class that day, stay the night at my parents', then get in another class. And we did that for about 6 months. Before that, my husband was going and leaving me at like 4:30 in the afternoon and coming back at like 9 because of the driving. And I had a 10-month-old I was nursing, you know, a fucking toddler. It became a resentment factor after a few months. I was like, what are you even doing? I need to go see what you're doing. And then I saw what he was doing and I was like, oh, I like this too. But anyway, 6 months down the line of us going to my parents' house once a week, like wore down on my dad. He's like, look, I love you, Naomi. You can't come here every week. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. I get it, but also like, how the fuck am I gonna train, dad? Like, I can't drive with the kids in the car like an hour and a half each way to go to a class,
True.
have them at the gym. They're fucking 2 and 4 at the time, or whatever, a year and a half too, as I'm training. It just didn't really look good. It was really hard. So then in March of 2023, I guess, yeah, or 2024, March of 2024, we were told you can't keep coming here. We cut our membership off. I'd been training for 6 months. I was like, well, I guess this is it. I guess I'm going to quit. What am I supposed to do? There's no fucking gym. I trained for 6 months. I liked it. Now there's just no gym. Well, this is fucked. Um, so I kind of just sat on the bench for a couple months. And then my husband has a buddy down here where we live who has been grappling for like 20 years and could train with him in the living room and would also do that while he was traveling north. He does some days where he'd work with his buddy here, go to class up north. So I was like, well, cool for you, but not really cool for me, you know? So he kept training, and then we happened to meet a Brazilian dude who was a black belt. And I was like, no shit, that's crazy. Like, way to go. And he had been living way out in the hills and was now in town, which is like a town of like 1,200 people. But this is town, you guys. Okay. This is where the grocery store is. This is where this is where the
Yeah.
fucking coffee roaster is. It may only be 1,200 people, but this is where town is. And he moved to town. And so we were like training with him a little bit in his living room because I didn't want to give up. And that was like in, yeah, like April. So maybe I only sat out for like a month. I trained with him like 1 or 2 times in the living room. And then I was like, hey guys, what if we come rent this little space that's been sitting empty forever and just buy some mats and like do this thing, and you can be our coach? Because at the time my husband was still a white belt and I'm a white belt. But if you're willing to like help, you know, lead the coaching, we'll buy the mats, rent the space, I'll get the business license, I'll get the website, I'll do the do. And he was like, yeah, that's my dream. Oh my God, blessing from the Lord up above, basically. Hallelujah. And we opened the gym in May of 2024. It was crazy. So my name's on the business license. I own Redwood Jiu-Jitsu. We started our own gym, and things went okay with the black belt for like the first 6 months. And then he probably just needed to say, hey, this is too much for me, let's figure it out. But instead he like lashed out on me in a way that was just like icky. So it was like, I can't really work with that, bro. Like, I don't care if we don't have a black belt. Like, we'll just figure it out. We have enough homies that have had jujitsu here in the past who want to keep doing it with us, even if we don't have a black belt, because like I said, there's no near gym. We can make it work with like the 6 adults we have and the 10 kids at the time. Now our kids program is nothing because it just is like that. So we just figured it out as we went. But that kind of made me want to quit, losing the black belt, him throwing a fit. Oh my God, bro. And that was like a year into my jujitsu. And so now it's been one more year. And I kind of wanted to quit after my last competition when I went and got submitted fucking 4 times in a row. Double is didn't even podium, just went, hey, I'm glad I fucking drove 5 hours, stayed 2 nights in a hotel, and all you guys drove like within, they'll be like, oh, I had a long drive, it was like 90 minutes, I'm like, bro, you live in the Bay Area, dog. Like, fuck. They're like, where are you from? I'm like, nowhere that you know of, dude. And that really did make me want to quit the other day. I was like, I'm fucking done. So I basically wanted to quit Dante like more than I want to keep going, but I don't want to quit on myself. The other day, my
Cool.
girlfriends and I were chatting, and they're like, well, what's your why? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why do you want to compete? Why do you want to keep doing jujitsu? And the only thing I could think of really was that I had such a derailment in high school doing sports. I always wanted to go and be a collegiate athlete, and came from a family that really put a lot of stock in going to college. It was very much expected, and it didn't work out. And it was really hard for me, and it's still hard for me to accept that. So now I look at it like something of a redemption arc. Like, I don't have to go do communal soccer and rely on 20 people to show up to make a game. I can work this as a sport and go and do competitions, and that's like a game day. And for me, I want to keep pushing myself to not quit and see what I can do, because I have to figure out how to fight for myself on a way that I haven't yet. And jiu-jitsu has shown me that I need to keep doing that.
Good. I think that's like what you said there. That's important, though, right? It's like you get to a certain point, I think, where as adults, like hobbies, like community, stuff like that becomes less and less. for us, because our lives, we're parents, we're a spouse, husband or a wife, we have home responsibilities and things like that. So we kind of lose ourselves to that, and being
Totally.
able to have this now and juggle life too. I think that's the big important thing too, is that you're able to juggle life along with this is part of life. So that's awesome to hear, though, that despite having setbacks and hiccups, and you want to quit, and you're like, you know what, nah. like, I get that feeling sometimes. I wake up, it's like, oh, like I'm excited to go to class, and I'm start getting ready for class. It's like, oh boy, it's time to go learn, not lose, learn. And then the important thing is, though, that we don't quit. So good, glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's hard for sure. It's definitely not easy to, like they say, the hardest belt is white belt. Getting that thing on and hitting the mat, like that's no joke, for
Yeah,
real.
like staying consistent and keep showing up, because that
Yeah,
like that can't be stressed enough. Is like you got to keep showing up.
totally.
I've
And like we
had.
had talked earlier about what that looks like. For me, I've been
Mhm.
doing this a little over 2 years. On average, I'm probably like a 2 day a week girl, maybe. Because yeah, for a while it's hard to find a flow. I'm getting better now of getting, 2 to 4 days a week if I can. Um, but it's just because we own the gym, it's not always easy. But I know if I
Mhm.
at least go 1 day a week over time, 1 day a week me from 2 years ago, or like me today doing 1 day a week classes could kick my ass from 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, when people get hung up, like we were saying, of like, oh my God, I feel like I need to go to 5 classes a week because I'm a white belt and there's so much to learn. And like you're gonna get burnt out. And no one can do that sustainably 5 years because of life. So if you can just accept that, like the little changes to your life over time will make a big effect, then it gets a little more manageable. Like, oh yeah, I don't need to be a world champion. Oh yeah, if my white belt era sucks, like guess what? And I could be a purple belt who just is bagging gold. If I think like that, if I think right now this is it, and you don't see the woods or whatever, you're so in the weeds you don't see the forest, then you could just, yeah, I'm gonna quit right now because this shit, yeah, some days really fucking sucks, dude. Like I said, going out there and getting submitted 4 times in a row as a white belt was like, man, I guess I better really question my choices here.
I think it's like that meme where you see the person digging and digging and digging, and they stop, and right on the other side, it's the diamonds. That's kind of how I look at this journey too. It's like where it gets so tough at times, and it's so tempting to quit. It's so easy to quit, and it's like, just keep going, keep going, keep going, because it's on the other end. Because like the white belt that you are now, that's not who you're going to be forever, in terms of training. Once you get the blue belt, your blue belt self is going to be so different than that white belt self. That purple belt self is going to be so different, and so forth and so forth, almost to a point where you look back at that white belt self and it's like, man, I almost quit. Like, I'm glad I
Yeah.
didn't. So yeah, it's tough though, but kudos to you for sticking with it, and despite all the times wanting to quit, you're like, no, I can do this. So good.
Yeah, I really appreciate my husband's support. He's always in the corner. He's like, you know what? You can do that. That's always a thing. But just know I'm not doing that. And, if you want to figure it out with me, he's always here for me. He's not always as like nice and supportive like that. Sometimes he'll be like, you just got to fucking do the work. And I appreciate it when he tells me it like that sometimes now more than I used to. It's like, yeah, you're right. I just got to show up and do it if that's what I say I want to do.
Sure. That
Yeah.
that's
Because a lot of
important.
people will be like, oh, this is the year. How many of my girlfriends like have a women's class? Okay, make a women's class. No one shows up. I'm going to try next week. I'm going to try this year. I've heard that a lot in the 2 years I've been doing jujitsu. I've heard that a lot in the 5 years I've been a gun owner now. I think it's been 5 years. I was raised pretty pacifist, liberal. I'm in like a hippie ass town in California. My daddy, my uncle, my brother, like they didn't have guns, Maybe my brother had a paintball gun. So when I started learning that a couple years before I got into jiu-jitsu, I had a lot of girls, and I still do, who reach out to me, well, how'd you do it? And they're like thinking that like God came down and led me to the fucking range. And sure, in essence, that happened because you make these choices in life that sometimes are like a divine catalyst to whatever. It was like that epic, fateful day where everything changed. Like, call it God, whatever. But people, all these girls, how do you do it? I'm like, you have to make the choice that you're going to try something new, and it's scary and it's hard, but you have to make the choice. Like, how bad do you want it? I told myself for years, I'm going to go to the range, I'm going to fire a gun, like I'm going to figure it out. And it took me years. And it really kind of sucked having to be like, oh, how many times can you look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm going to go do that tomorrow. We all have those things to varying degrees in our life that resurface or continue to be there, whether it's a bad habit of drinking, smoking weed, porn, whatever we're using that is a bad coping mechanism. Like, it will come, like, you kind of got to face it eventually, And jiu-jitsu is showing me like, oh man, I just have to face my shit and make the choice to do that. It's hard. It's really hard, but like you just have to do it. People ask me all the time, yeah, how do you do it?
Yeah. I have a buddy who it's become kind of a running joke now for years. I'm interested. I want to do it. I'm interested. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. Then comes the moment. We're in 26. So in 2025, we talked about this last February of 2025. He said he had an injury that he was nursing back to health, supposedly. Um, and he was like, look, I'll be ready in March or April. I was like, that's perfect. Let's do it. He specifically wanted to do striking. And I was like, well, I'll go to Muay Thai with you because my schedule will open up on Saturday mornings where I can do this. And then that window of time goes by. That window closed now. It's like, hey, well, it's done. I could still do it, but it wouldn't be as easy. Then we come around to here we are this year. Same deal. And the thing is, like you say, you just got to do it. You have to say you want to do it. That's with anything. You say, hey, I want to lose weight. Well, saying I want to lose weight doesn't make you lose weight. Sure, it's a start and ideal that but now you have to actually do. And same thing with anybody that says, I want to do jiu-jitsu, I want to do Muay Thai, I want to, learn MMA, I want to, learn how to speak Italian, whatever it may be. You got to, make those moves. And so many people will look at you and say, oh, well, Naomi, like, how'd you do it? Like you're so unique in that. And, in a lot of ways, us in this community, we are unique in the fact that we like to do this activity. But also, too, I mean, I always say, I don't think jiu-jitsu is for everyone. I think everyone should try it so that way whether it is or isn't for you. So it's like, just go do it, people, and you might surprise
Totally.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's like, just go do it. And like, you got to go to a few classes, and maybe you need to go to a few
Hmm.
different gyms. Like, we're epic cross trainers because we have to be. That's just how it is. And I think people should get into that more. And I
Hmm.
do think that there's a cool effect about social media of being able to garner hope and inspiration from other people. Obviously, it can be a double-edged sword where we're always comparing ourselves and our journey to someone else and what they're doing. Oh my God, she's a fucking, has a career and a mom, and she's homeschooling, and she's bagging a gold medal at Pans. Well, fuck me. I must be like, some invalid of a mother. I mean, I tend to be very critical in my thinking like that. And that's, not everyone's journey is different. We come together because we want to better ourselves. And you have to appreciate that, like, you can find inspiration from your teammates, from people online, but we're not all living the same life. We all have different backgrounds, different circumstance, and try not to get too lost in the sauce of comparing because, yeah, the martial arts journey, it's really, there's a huge breadth of it where, yeah, people got 5 days a week they can train multiple times or whatever, different goals that you got to just kind of keep yourself in check about where you're at on your path.
Yeah, that's really really important too. It's like your path, like your journey is your journey. I think I got caught up a little bit when I got my blue belts and looking at other blue belts. I was like, oh man, they're doing this. Like, am I really a blue belt? Like, meanwhile,
Yeah.
these blue belts have been blue belts for like a couple years, and here I am a week into it. Like, are you sure I am? It's like, because that dude's doing that, and I can't do this thing here. So, we travel on our own path, and it's our thing. Like right now, even my buddy and I, one of my teammates, we looked at our paths at one point when we were both blue belts, and he was competing and I was not, and I had to detach from comparing
Mm,
because he's doing a whole different thing than what I'm doing. So,
totally.
and that's for all of us, though, right? So, and
And
make
there's
sure
something to
you make it your
wrestling
own thing.
around. And now we've become so removed from having that a part of, like, our foundation as kids, I think, like, if we
Hmm.
look back at, like, historical evolution, um and you look at a lot of animals and a lot of jujitsu moves that we learn, like, we've learned from watching animals. Like, it's kind of
Yeah,
fucking crazy when you see some jaguars go and they're grappling and shit. You're like, holy fuck. Or like the cats, or weird birds. Like, there's all different style of fighting that we've learned to implement in our own human form from animals. So it's like, why are we losing that as we get older? Like, it's kind of crazy to think about. And then I think about, yeah, like all, like, the little boys who are going crazy in school. I'm like, they just need to go wrestle. You need to go do
hmm,
some gymnastics and go wrestle. There's not, yeah, you learn some
yeah,
numbers, learn some ABCs, but, like, society would probably be better off if we started getting back to more like calisthenics and wrestling for kids, because
oh yeah.
it's super important. My kids, it really does help regulate their nervous system when they can run around on the mat and just go crazy. It's so great.
My daughter, I remember seeing her stand up. She was sitting down and she did a combat stand up. She's never seen it before.
Right?
Never seen me do it, anything. And one of my coaches that pointed out was like, a lot of the moves that we do just kind of, not all, like inverts. We're not inverting, growing up, but there's a lot of movements that we do growing up that we kind of unlearn as life goes on because it's just the system of life that we're in, where in school we're forced to sit down at a desk all day. PE, I remember the PE, well, you might get it once, twice a week, something maybe like that. I don't remember. I know it wasn't enough, but it might be less now for all I know.
And they'd be
But
like, we're playing, like, badminton. Like,
yeah,
bro,
yeah.
can we go back to dodgeball? Like, what do you mean
It-
we're going to play badminton for 45 minutes? Like, give me a break.
I remember in seventh grade, I was in Delaware, and it's wild because it's like, wow, Delaware, like what the fuck's in Delaware? Well, not much.
It's pretty small.
But yeah, I mean, it's I kind of miss it sometimes, but because we live near the college, and it was a very nice, like it was really nice out there. So I was like, oh, I really like this. I want to move back. Now I was like, nah, I think I'm good where I'm at. But in seventh grade, there, I remember in PE we wrestled,
Hmm.
and never, like when I moved here to Maryland, that was not. anything at all in the PE curriculum. We had the ropes, that you climbed up to the
Oh
top,
yeah.
which was crazy when I think back on it. And I was like, oh, we climb up there, no safety nets, no, just climb up and then, you know, don't
Hope for the
fall.
best. Yeah.
But as a kid, and I had kind of a wild childhood, but that I remember going to Delaware, I was the problem. But once, PE became a thing, I was able to get physical. Then I got here and I discovered football. And, now having an outlet, I calmed down.
Mm.
And I don't know about kids today. I know my daughter, she's an active kid. Our old neighbor, their daughter was uh always had a lot of energy and nowhere to let it out. And now I think she's doing softball, she's doing jiu-jitsu. They say she's doing fucking great. It's like, yeah, I think we need to be physical. We're physical beings, and when you're forced to sit down all day, when you're forced in front of a screen all day, when you're forced to do all these things that aren't natural to us, we're gonna have a lot of problems at a later point. And as we become adults, now we've got that disconnect. So when you get somebody that comes into jiu-jitsu and they grab onto it, oh my God, I love this. It's like, oh, you're the one that was craving that movement. You've probably been sitting at a desk all your life. And now you've got something to do now to get that energy, that outlet. So we need this. Everybody needs it. Come do it.
I know. I'm like, well, if you want to try, then you got to try. If you have
Yeah.
any inkling about trying jujitsu, I say, figure out what that looks like and make it happen. Same with
Yeah.
competing. I have a couple girlfriends, actually, one girl who started now, she's been doing it like 6 months, and she's up in Oregon, and she was like, it was because of watching you do it that I decided I'm gonna try it too. Her son had started or whatever, and she's like, that's amazing that like you went and competed. Like I'm too scared, but I kind of want to do it. I'm like, well, even if part of you wants to do it, then you got to do it, and especially with competing, it's going to suck. Like the first time you compete, that's not going to really be like a whole representation of your jujitsu or your ability at competition. So it does take some reps, and it's hard, it can be hard, especially if you live far away or, they're cost prohibitive, whatever it
Yeah.
might be for people. I do think it's an important facet to the jujitsu journey, going and competing at some level. It's a good character thing. I think people should try that too. It's definitely not for everybody. Like it's not.
I have
You had said you've only done it once. Am I wrong, Dante, or what?
yeah, I competed
Yeah.
once and I actually enjoyed it in the
Oh,
moment after, like, so there's a local competition. It was 8 minutes from my house. Like, went to it, was nervous, got out there, did it. I actually got my ass whipped, but I won. That's just, how it
yeah.
works. Um, and the very next week, or it was like the next month, IBJJF was coming to DC for the first time. I was excited. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do it!" I'm excited for this. Um, for that, and thinking about it in retrospect now, I guess there were other options to it, but I wear a colostomy bag, so with that, I wear a rash guard all the time under my gi. Like I'm always, I have like layers of protection over my stomach,
Right.
and I didn't know that you couldn't wear anything under the gi. So my coach was like, "Hey, send an email to IBJJF, see if you can get an exemption." They're like, "Nah, just put on a neoprene brace, you'll be all right." I was like, "Is that a thing? Have you had others do that?" No. It's like, okay, well, maybe you don't know. I'll be all right. Apparently now, though, there are more athletes who do have stomas who do compete, so that's
Hmm.
good. But
Yeah.
a teammate mentioned to me years later, was like, "You could have just did no gi." I was like, "Huh." I guess I
Well,
didn't think of that,
you
but
can always down
um,
the line. You think you'll ever compete again or no?
I toyed the ideal a lot. I think the big thing to me, it isn't a matter of like I don't care about going out there and winning or losing. The experience is fun, and also like we mentioned, the community is always very welcoming. I think I have some deep seated parental issues in the back of my mind that holds me back, and I'm working through them. But it's really a matter now with coaches where I'm like, there's this letdown.
Mm.
So it keeps fucking with me, but I'm working through it. Hey, Naomi, I'm working on me. I'm working
I
on me.
feel you, dude. I mean, it shows us a lot. I feel you. I'm working on me too. I'm like, I get out there and I fawn and I freeze and I can't get like a real dog out. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like out there just, I'm like, what?
Y- I think also too with me, I'm silly, right? So like I'm goofing off. Like even when I did that competition many years ago, I was just the first match was a shock because I was like,
Yeah.
because for the most part, I've never really started from the feet. I think I did a couple mock matches in the gym, but
Mm.
once we got to competition, I look over my coach. Was like, what do I do? Is like get some grips. So I get grips, and it's like, now what is like get a takedown? I was like, I don't know what you mean, and the dude took me down, and so he scores his two. Eventually, I ended up getting side control, and I beat him 3-2. I didn't know that
Mm.
until they raised my arm. But in the finals, I was just getting thrashed, and I'm like pulling the dude in close, and I'm like saying silly things to him because I'm a goofball. And I'm just trying to make jokes and trying to get him to laugh and distract them. And I think that's something that does kind of fuck with me a lot because in the training room, I'm that dude. I'm just singing, I'm humming songs. I'm what was the other night? I was humming Tony Braxton, another sad love song. Like it was just like I listened to it on the way in. I love that song, but I do have these things where it's like if I'm going to compete, I have to get locked in my brain that I have to be a little bit more serious and focused versus my nature of I just want everybody to laugh, I want everybody to smile, I want everybody to have a good time, I want people to be happy, and it's like, oh wait, you just got wrist locked. There's no happiness in that. That's sadness. I'm gonna go home now and you know, knock over my show of action figures. I'm going to be angry. But I do toy with the ideal. We have local competitions around here quite often, so it's one of those things where I have to. If I sit down with my coach to have that conversation, then it's reality, and it's like, am I ready for that reality to go back out there and compete again soon? It's not. It's never zero. The percentage is never zero. I'll say that. So,
There you go. Yeah.
but when it does happen, I'm going to have somebody interview me for this podcast
Hell
and
yeah.
like, interview me, ask me questions, and then I'm
Yes.
just
We're
going,
gonna need a real breakdown of that.
and then everything's going to be no comment. Next question. Right. So
Moving
here we
on.
see you jumped right into the triangle. What was that about? Well,
Oh my
so
god,
you don't.
watching the game footage is rough. You're like, I think I'm good. Maybe next week. Like I like FaceTime my girlfriends who one's a blue belt, one's a purple belt, and they're both named Rachel, so that's always confusing. But um we like did a FaceTime screen share, like let's watch the matches, because one of my girlfriends went and competed the same weekend. And so we got to watch her great matches, which were like two just dominant to sub, and she got her gold, which was tight. And then my matches are like, but it's good. It's good for my ego. It's good because I want to be the best. I want to be perfect. And that's just not real. And something I've had to accept more and more as I age. I'm 33 now, and 10 years ago at 23, the thought that I wouldn't be able to be perfect one day, was enough to make me spiral. And now it's getting a little easier to be like, yeah, I'm not perfect, and that's okay. You can still achieve success and not be perfect.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's another thing that messes with my mind on the mats at times is when we drill a move in perfect conditions and it looks a certain way. And then when it's time to roll, and I've had plenty of times where, you'll hit a sweep, you'll hit a pass, you'll, get a submission, and it's not perfect. You can, make life work to your conditions. But in my mind, it's like I hit someone with a triangle the other night, which I have little bitty legs. So you get caught in a triangle by me, find a new hobby, son. And this is three different people now that I've triangle in the past week.
Mm.
Granted, two of them were white belts. Look, look. The triangle is a triangle. Don't
Hey, you
don't
got
hate.
it.
I got little legs. But the thing is like as I'm doing it, I'm like, this isn't perfect enough. I gotta cut that angle more. And it's like,
Mm.
meanwhile, the dude's tapping, and I'm thinking about, no, I gotta cut this angle. No, don't you don't get the tap right now. I need to make this
I
look
haven't
better.
worked my shit out enough yet, buddy.
Meanwhile, this dude's turning purple. They're like, hey, so y'all, hey, let him go. Hey, okay. Hey, like, let go of the rabbit, Lindy.
Like, don't hurt your
Sorry.
toy. We want them to come back. Remember?
Um, but I think that's the thing though too. Is like perfection. It's you know, it's an eye of the beholder, I guess. You know, and at the end of the day, we're out there, we're doing it, and we might train it in the perfect conditions. But I think that's the key to it is once you kind of get it to be your thing, you can make it work in any condition. Unless you got little legs and you're trying to hit a triangle like me, then no, it doesn't
Yep.
work. Unless it's on white belts who've only been training for like a month.
Then the triangle's on. Yeah, my triangle's not happening.
No,
I
no.
also have small legs, so it's like,
But the beauty though is like when you have little legs, if you get that triangle on, they are Fucksville because
yeah,
there's no space.
it's getting
So
tight fast.
yeah, like I like when like lanky people get the triangle. Like they still fuck me up. But there's some that like they're so lanky that there's so much space where it's
You can
like,
swim
oh
out of it easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you dumb bastard. Like you need another submission because that ain't gonna work. And I have a stubby neck. So it's like sometimes I foolishly jump into triangles because I don't make any sense. But I know that I can kind of manage because my neck like gives me that affordability. But then there's
Mm.
sometimes where people are like, oh yeah, okay, cool. You think you're slick? I'm gonna wrist lock you in this triangle. And that's pretty embarrassing.
The wrist lock's
Fucking
always
sucks.
there.
I hate wrist locks. This
There.
white belt was trying to wrist lock me the other night. I told him, it's okay. I won't tell on you. But then he kept trying it. I was like, dude, you got to chill. I said, like that. I don't mean keep fucking spamming them. Like she was like, I'm
Like, do
gonna
you
wrist
know
lock
what you're
you.
doing, dude?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's like he's like, you're not gonna wrist lock me. It's like you're right. I'm not. I'm just gonna hit you at a knee on belly and make you poop. Like
Yeah.
I'm not worried about a wrist lock. You are. So either way, like enough of my sad training. I do also take video of when I'm rolling in the gym on Saturdays, and that's a very tough watch.
Mm. Yeah. I need
It's
to do more of it
educational.
because it's really helpful to
Hmm.
see, one of the best ways to get better faster is to watch your
Yeah.
game footage for sure. I do that too when I go to the shooting range to see like, oh, well, like how's my stance? Like, am I, where am I going wrong? What's going right?
Huh.
Super helpful because you're not going to see it in the moment at
Yeah.
all.
That's how I think about. There's a couple roles where I felt like one thing happened when I looked at the video. I was like, that didn't go the way I thought it went at all.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yep.
fact,
Yep.
like I didn't get a sweep. I could have sworn in my mind I swept that dude twice. No, not at all. Didn't sweep him at
Perception's
all.
crazy, right?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
tell yourself all types of stories. Then you're sitting there watching, and your 9-year-old daughter's watching it with you. It's like, Dad, you're not very good at this. I was like, you know, like You're not
I was
very good
just
at your
feeling really
Legos.
good about my game before we watched this damn roll. I thought I was cruising.
Yeah, like you're not welcome like in this room to watch game footage with me anymore. Why don't you go somewhere?
Yeah, why don't you go do jujitsu?
Yeah. Like you know what else isn't really good? Like when you do the your doll's hair, that's not very good. How about that? And then now we're paying for therapy. So fuck, you know.
I know my kids were like, "You're not you're not bringing home any metal, mom." I was like, "Not this time, guys. Like, don't fucking bring it up again."
Like
FaceTime
you
with
don't
them, you know, like,
you don't
no,
gotta remind me.
I lost, guys. Okay.
Like, I have one silver medal and I came home with it. My wife ordered a pizza, not in celebration, but because they were waiting for me. Like we wanted dinner. I was like, oh, I thought that was for me. Thanks, guys. And for like years, my daughter would always like run around the house with it on. It was like, I don't know what to do with this thing. There's only one. You know, you see people with like all these medals and like either in totes or some of them may have frames. It's just, you know, it just be sitting on the dresser. Sometimes it'd be, you know, sitting on a pile of poker chips. Like who knows where it would end up. And then my daughter would just start running around with it.
Exactly. I was gonna say my kids like to wear it for dress up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be
So,
dress up.
you know, it's that's kind of the goal, I guess, is to compete again and get another medal for her decorations, I guess.
There you
Put it on
go.
her little Christmas tree in her bedroom. That's still
Right.
up
That could be
in
like a funny
February.
meme when it like right now it's like remember what you're training for, and then it's like all the food or whatever, and then it's just like, yeah. Really it's for the kids too, because
Yeah.
I do look at my daughters and I think my mom was always very diligent and she still is at 70 about working out multiple days a week, weight lifting now for like 15 years. Before she was, you know, swimming miles a week, lap swimming, you know, she'd be in the elliptical machine in our garage. Like she always set a very good example about maintaining health, like physical health, for longevity. It wasn't just for looks. Like she was like very much teaching us that this is for the betterment of your health. Um, but one thing I feel like she lacked was really putting herself first and showing us that, because a lot of what she did happened like maybe when we were in school, or sometimes it would be like after, you know, maybe at evening. But I really wanted to show my girls that I'm doing this for myself. I'm making the time to have a space where people care about me. I have friends and I'm learning a skill. And there's obviously some self defense aspect to it. But beyond that, you know, there is and isn't, you know, just depending on how you're training. But that was a big factor for me. I was like, I want to show my girls that I'm not quitting, that their mom's fucking cool, you know? That's a big motivating factor. Like, am I a fucking cool mom or not? Like, let's go.
I'm not like a regular mom. I'm like a cool mom.
Exactly. Like, I'm a
Favorite
jiu-jitsu
movie.
mom, you know?
That's something that I try to, you know, keep a point of around the house too. I work out every day. I do something physical every day, whether it be go to jujitsu, run on a treadmill, run on whatever it is on the elliptical. I don't know what we categorize that as, or if I'm lifting weights. But it's a routine. You know, I come home from work. I, you know, say hello to my family, chat about the day. I always hug my daughter and like throw her up on my hip, like a hip toss. She loves. She comes over like, oh, hip toss, hip toss. So I'll come over, hoist her up on my hip, and then I'll go change and work out. And you know, she knows that's the routine. You know, that are you working out today? Are you going to jiu-jitsu today? And I want her to know that, you know, that this is it's routine. It's part of a thing. So it's not for me a okay, I'm doing, you know, like especially in January, you know, the new year, new me people. They you know do it for a month and a half at best and then quit. It's like I've been doing this every day, you know, for the last couple years now, just to make a point of, you know, staying healthy, staying and it really helps with my mental. just being active and showing that to my daughter, having her see it. She's come downstairs and worked out with me a few times. She clearly does not like leg day. And that goes even back to when she was doing some jiu-jitsu with us, and all right, we're doing air squats, body weight squats, and she was like, nah, I'm not about that life. But she came downstairs one day and I was, doing deadlifts and goblet squats and everything, and she was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this. Like, I'm not about this life. But she always wants to go on the elliptical. She wants to go on the treadmill. She has some little weights down there too. She'll do like arm stuff. So it's like, as long as you're like, she's 9, so it's not like a serious thing, but it's still the ideal of you have this stuff and she's toying with the ideal of what it does. And that carries over. So just trying to set example for the kids, make sure they
Totally.
understand that, you know, it's not a it doesn't go into this pocket of you do it and it means nothing. It all adds up to something.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
it does. It really does add up to something. The choices we make matter.
Yes.
Truly, they do.
Um, I did want to ask, because I have some questions here.
Cool.
Um, it's funny because I always have questions, but as we talk, a lot of questions get answered. So I'm like, oh, well, you beat me to
Mm,
it. Okay. Like,
right.
let's swipe to this one. Oh, she just answered that one too. All right. Well, let's go. Oh, God, she's in the middle of answering that one. Um, but
What's left?
like one of the things I want to talk about is kind of like what jiu-jitsu has taught you about yourself away from the mat. Anything that might have surprised you, um, that you picked up from jiu-jitsu.
I definitely think I've found more patience that I can figure out, like being okay, maybe not knowing an answer to a problem or having more faith that I can figure out a solution to the problem. Um, yeah, and it's shown me how much more work I'd like to do on my self confidence and the way I view myself and the way I talk about myself. Um, Surprisingly enough, yeah, it's been eye opening in that way. Like, and yeah, I'm like, wow, there's a lot. And it taught me a lot about, yeah, how I'm still processing a lot of my past and my trauma. Like, there's been times when I've had to really psychologically do like a breakdown. Like, what's going on there? Why am I letting, like, I have no guard. I just let myself get past. Should I dig deeper in that? Like, what is that really all about? So it's shown me glimpses of like psychology, somatic processing, and things that I've gone through in my life that happened way before I've ever even knew about jujitsu, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. It definitely opens up those pathways, I think, to just, when you do something, when you freeze in a moment, then you play it back and you think like, why did I do that? What, like, is that linked to a bigger problem, or, something, unresolved? So totally makes sense. I get you. Um, do you feel like your um like the confidence that you have on the mats of sorts, like it's always weird to say confidence on the mat because there are times where it's like we're confident and there are times where we're like very confused, but in those moments of confidence on the mats, um like, does that carry over into your everyday life as well, or has it?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I do feel more assured in my like physical capability and my situational awareness. I feel more confident day to day of just like I can show up and do hard things. Um yeah, it definitely has translated off the mat.
Good, good. um I that's something else I always try to explain to my friends who don't train. It's like, dude, like you'll feel so different going like just going into different activities, doing different things, going out. Like I don't feel I don't feel like there's an ego when I go out anymore.
Mm.
I don't feel like I have to prove anything, you know?
It's big. And I feel like maybe a little more so for men. I mean, I'm not saying that women don't have egos. Don't get me wrong. We are
Sure,
some
sure.
catty ass bitches. But typically, you will see women, can come together and be like, oh, no, we're going to figure out this problem really fast, for the better of, our children not dying. We're going to figure it out. Men, you know, it seems to be a little harder. And just typically, speaking from my own experience with my husband, I have seen him transform tremendously of going from very, very egotistical, very much I know everything and tend to embellish things and, want to look better than maybe things are because it can be hard to actually be like, things aren't great. And I think for men, especially, it's a great opportunity to let the ego die. Let the ego die. Someone's going to be bigger than you, stronger than you, know more than you. And it doesn't mean that like you're not worth anything either. Yeah, it teaches us that. Like just because you're not as good as this guy who can kick your ass doesn't mean that you're worthless, doesn't mean that you have no skill. It's just the facts that this guy can
Wait,
kick your ass.
wait. That's something I think about too when it's like it's a group of guys and we're working on a project or something. I think about work in that regard too. It's like if I don't have the answers, it's okay. I don't. It's somebody else does.
Mm,
It's okay to say, hey, that guy knows, and I don't know.
right.
That
Yeah.
was a thing. Was it last year? That I wanted to make a point of in 2025 of saying I don't know more. So it's like instead of letting that ego, puff my chest up. Oh, I know the answers. Just say it confidently. It might be wrong, but say it with confidence. Like now there's this whole like, look, somebody else might know the answer. It doesn't make you worth any less. And I do feel like training has kind of fostered that a little bit, just knowing like okay, I don't need to know the answer, or I don't need to be the one to give the answer, I should say.
Right.
It's okay taking help from someone else. So, because in training, we take help from our teammates, we take help from our coaches. So it's like, why would that be any different off the mats?
Right.
So, but, so yeah, it's just something I wonder about at times with folks. All right, just want to ask one more question before we jump to a quick rapid fire. For you with jiu-jitsu, how do you define success?
Um, how do I define success? Mm, I really do think showing up is huge. If you can stay consistent and not give up for like a year to really suss out if this is good for you, that's a huge success. Beyond that, once you start being able to explain some of the fundamentals that you're learning better, maybe you're understanding the game better. That for me felt like a big success. Like 6 months in, I went and competed for my first time, even though I didn't know anything, didn't score like any points my first 3 rounds, was just lost. I didn't even know like how to score points. After that, it taught me a lot about the points, and that felt like a success. So the learning of it all feels like a success for me.
All right. I mean, and that makes sense because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not really learning, if you're not really absorbing it, you know, what are we really doing at all? So I
It's
get you.
true.
I got you. Well, Naomi, this has been awesome,
For sure.
but
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me to come on here and shoot the shit with you. It's been good.
oh no, I'm glad we're able to make the time work out and get this done. But before we go, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions because I can't let people leave without rapid fire questions.
Okay, let's go.
Although, as I was fumbling around. I was like, oh no, where's her rapid fire questions? So I got you though.
We
Look,
got
you
him.
don't get to escape. All right. So first one, gi or no gi?
Gi.
I love to hear. Too many people have been saying no gi lately, and I'm going to let you know, I'm not with that. So
I'm not either. It's like it's exciting with the gi. Yeah, it may not be as fast paced, but it's really exciting. There's so many more opportunities. It's way more technical. It's really hard. And I don't know, and as a practitioner, it's it's more badass to me. I'm like, if you put on that kimono and you go fucking fight, like you're gonna have some claustrophobic issues that you have to get over. Um, and that alone is so hard. Like, whoa, I could go on a tangent about that, about being claustrophobic in the gi, and that's secretly why most people don't like it, is because they're fucking
mhm.
claustrophobic and they haven't conquered that mental thing of being trapped with your fucking clothes on, essentially. It's kind of weird.
Well, trust me, when we do another episode, I'm gonna make a
We're gonna
note of
go
that. We're
into
gonna
that.
that one because I think that is important. That's a good conversation point of people in the gi, why they don't like the gi, why we think they don't like the gi. But
There we go.
we got this. All right, next one. One position you avoid when your body feels beat up.
Inverting. I got to figure that out. It's hard. It doesn't feel natural for me.
I agree. When I see people invert, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And a lot of times, if I see it in time, I grab their leg and it's like, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Just
You're turning
hanging.
into like a weird snail,
Yeah. Quit
like
being
a roly
weird.
poly.
Weirdies. Um, a recovery habit that you swear by.
Um, I really just believe in rest. Like, you got to have some days where you're not physically killing yourself, whether that's like walking or you're not going to go roll like it's ADCC tomorrow. I really think people aren't managing their rest as recovery. Like, you can take all the supplements you want, you can fucking do all the salves that you want, but if you're not sleeping and resting and nourishing with food as recovery, then like really I don't even know what could be more important besides like actual rest, food nourishment. What was the other thing I said? Sleep. Because that's like, yeah, you gotta have. My sleep's been janky lately. My husband's like, "What are you doing on your phone in the middle of the night?" And I'm like, "Fucking please, just
Guilty.
let me get rid of." Okay, like the little voice of like, when am I gonna start my habit of not being on my phone in the middle of the night? Like, bitch, tonight.
It's a every night thing for me. And when I put my phone down, I grab the iPad and start playing spades.
It's
So
so hard. It's so hard. And I get lost. It's not like, oh, a 20-minute thing. It can turn into a whole thing because I naturally wake up in the middle of the night. I have old dogs. They're bugging me, whatever. They're crying. I gotta let them out. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just like go on my. No, don't do it.
yeah, too many times. I get you. All right, two more here. What's a green flag in a training partner?
I don't know. I feel like I've never really had any like red flags really. So I'm just like, well, like if they're there, they're kind of a green flag. Like, I don't know. Might be easier to be like, what's a red flag? But honestly, as a woman, if they want to roll with you, like, that's nice right there. If they're not like looking at you and then they like duck eyes and you're like, well, fuck me. Because most of the time, as a woman, like, you'll be the only female, and at least, you'll have a class where you're the only female. And so, green flag for a male partner, they want to work with you, they make effort to work with you. For another female partner, if you're a lower belt, if they're willing to give you feedback and help you get out of bad positions, that's a green flag for me. If they're going to give you some feedback, like if you're with an upper belt and they're just working, 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 working and never giving you like a little this, little that, not my favorite.
I understand and I agree. And then the last one here. If your jiu-jitsu had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my God. Frozen Let It Go of all things. It's so ridiculous. That's been on repeat since, now it's phasing out. The kids are getting bigger. But my husband teases me every time that thing comes on. He's like, "This is your walkout song." And like if you listen to the lyrics, Dante, like the shit kind of slaps. Like it's kind of like a movement, like, it's a banger.
I I have a daughter.
Like
She's
I'm one
9.
with the wind and sky, dog.
We've watched a lot of Frozen in the home and in the car. Dad, can we put on music? All right, well, cool. I do have this one album I want to no, I want to listen to Frozen. But Wu-Tang's for the kids.
It
That's
is.
not today. Um, well, I mean, hey, let it go works. All right. Well, there we have it, my friends.
There it is.
All right. Well, again, Naomi, thank you very much for doing this. Um, before we get out of here, do you have any shout outs or mentions that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Mm, shall I listen? Not really. I really, whatever. You can find me on the social media. I'm always down to chat in the DMs. I like keeping it real and making people laugh. So, I really do appreciate what you have going on here of getting people together that are just regular people. It's cool.
Well, that's always the ideal and the goal here is just to have regular folk on here and let's talk because at the end of the day, our stories matter too. So
They do. Without all of us in the training room, like we all can't be like crazy gonna go kill each other. And yeah, we gotta be the bodies in the room.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And as always, to you all, the listeners, thank you. If y'all have any questions, concerns, criticisms, is that the word? Yeah, that sounds like the word.
Critiques,
Anything.
criticisms.
Yeah, critiques, criticisms, like constructive, criticism. Not don't like. I've had enough people tell me, "Yo, your sound is trash." I get it. Tell me how to fix it, ass. Um, Feel free to reach out to me. You can always find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast as well on Instagram. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. I'm not saying all those names. Half of them I think I make up anyway. So whatever. But y'all, if you've been here before, you know the names. I don't have the mug. But I know Bobby, he started it. Joe, Chris, maybe
You just
Pinkerton.
start throwing out names like John, Paul,
Yeah,
Luke.
the
You just throw
RZA,
out a few
the
biblical
Jizza.
names and you'll find somebody in there.
Yeah, some of them, some of them. But
Some of them
thank you,
homies.
thank you to my guys at Nerd Rage Radio. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So thank you to them.
Mm.
I also want to shout out my other podcast. So you like horror? If you like scary movies, go check it out. We are on a theme in 2026 of horror television. So we started off with Haunting of Hill House. We are in February going to be doing Are You Afraid of the Dark? In March, we're going to talk about Midnight Mass. I think we're going to get to the Twilight Zone. I think in April or May or something, we're going to do Scooby Doo, Where Are You? For the kids. And June, probably what just Welcome to Dairy. So we've got a list. We got some things going on. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, go check it out. If not, that's fine. It ain't for everybody. I get it. And then last but not least, I want to thank our guest here today, Ms. Naomi God damn it.
You have it. Davoudian. You got it. You had it the first time. You psyched yourself out.
Yeah, because I had to keep thinking about Davoudian. I got it. Miss Naomi Davoudian. Thank you very much for sharing your time and just coming over onto the podcast and just really chatting it up. Had a good time. And also to what you had collabed me on one of your posts the other day.
Oh, right.
And like you and Robin, also a current recent guest as well. You all collab me and stuff, and I always say, yeah, go ahead, send it through, and then I actually sit down and look. It's like, this is pretty actually funny. So pretty fucking
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
Thanks,
She's funny
for
for sure.
including me. So thank you to both of you, and
Right on.
I'd love to have you back on, and definitely let's talk about the people who are scared of gi, because I think they're some cowards anyway, punks. But I'm not gonna say that to their faces. But anyhow, thank you, and got to do this again.
Let's do it. We'll get into it. We'll get into the time Gordon Ryan called me a chubby mom on the internet.
Good old Gordon.
I
Gotta,
know.
gotta
It's
love
like
his
I
pism.
needed this, Gordon. Thank you. I will lose weight.
Like, since it's coming from you, buddy. Thanks.
I'm
Thanks.
like, I love it. I love this sport. It cracks me up daily. And we're just in for some times right now. We're just really in for it. So
Oh
I'd love
yeah.
to be back because I'm sure this year, like we're barely in this year, it's gonna get lit.
Yes, we've got quite a bit of time in 2026 to go, and we're just kicking it off. So we'll
All
get there
right.
though.
Sounds good. Well, have a good
All
night
right.
and I'll see you on the old interweb.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And
All
as
right.
always, to you all the listeners, thank you.
Thank
You know what
you.
it is. You guys keep listening. We're gonna definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.